My name is Alyssa Mayer. Although I'm noticing that on their screen there, it's spelled wrong. So it's A-L-I, 2 S's, A. I am a somatic educator for horses and riders. And I also teach my own method of horsemanship that comes out of my experience being a somatic educator. And I call that a somatic approach to horsemanship. And that is a little bit of what you're going to get to learn about today in this distance coaching session. So I'm super excited to be here, telecommuting from my farm in Oregon to be here at Dunrovin Ranch with all of you and to work with Ant and his horse that you'll be meeting in a minute here. So why don't we just jump right in with Ant introducing his horse, and what I'd like is for you to tell me a little bit about what you would like to get out of this session today so that I know exactly what to help you with.
Okay, thanks, Alyssa, and welcome to Montana, at least virtually. This is Mystery. He is a 9-year-old Tennessee walking horse, just turned 9 about 10 days ago. According to Suzanne, he's got maybe a year of steady trail riding experience, and his ground manners kind of come and go a little bit. He's a horse with a lot of fire in him. He doesn't just come out calm and easy. His mounting block behavior, he tends to step away, and when you do get on, he's very much prone to start moving. He doesn't stand still like you'd want him to, which can be dangerous. Once you do get on and are in the saddle, he still has a tendency to prance a little, and I've gotten in the habit of kind of letting him burn off some of that energy, just giving a few quick laps around the arena. But what I'd like to do is be able to take him as a somewhat hot horse from a cold start without needing to move his feet. I'd like him to be able to stand until I'm ready to go. So if you have any tips on that, I'd appreciate it.
I am pretty sure I've got a whole bag full of things that might help with this situation.
Fantastic.
So before I give you anything to do differently, what I would like to see is just kind of a typical what it looks like when you lead them up to the mounting block and how you would go about preparing to get on. So I don't actually want you to get on because I'll probably be able to see enough kind of leading right up to that moment. But I do have one question before you do that, and that is, is he cold out of the pasture and then getting tacked up, or do you do groundwork before you ride? What's your routine for?
We always do a little bit of kind of a pre-flight check, turning them this way and that, disengaging the hindquarters, making sure that they're moving fluidly, walk them about a bit, make sure they're tracking on me and stopping when I do, that kind of thing. Sometimes I take him in the round pen first, where he's actually very good, and get him hooked on good. And then he's still a little bit antsy at the block. So, and this behavior applies not just at a mounting block like we have here, but also if we're out in the pasture or down the trail ride someplace, if I'm getting up off the ground, same kind of thing. Usually a little less trouble there, because I think the mounting blocks may be kind of a cue for him at this point. He doesn't, just doesn't behave right there. So if I get up straight off the ground, there's usually a little less trouble. So I'll take him around and we'll see what we got.
Tell me what that looks like. Thanks.
All right, come on, brother. Yeah, come with me. Come on. Come on. Come on around. Oh, boy. There you go. You know what to do, right? Whoa, whoa, move over. There you go. Over. Yeah, boy. Stay right there. Well, apparently there's no problem today.
And that's just how good I am. Just kidding.
Nice job. Whoa.
It's like
Whoa.
taking your car to the mechanic, right?
Apparently so. It's never been that easy, but I'll hop down and we'll try it again. Damn, brother, we might be on Yellowstone season 4 yet. Whoa, whoa. Coming down. Coming down. Here we go. All right, come with me. Let's try it again.
So I actually don't think I need to see you do that again, because even though that was great, there were a bunch of little indicators of the other behavior you were describing, like that he didn't get real close to the mounting block and he sort of leaned away from it when you were there. So what I want you to do now is don't bring him right into it. Just keep walking a little bit, or stand there. That's fine too. And I just want to say a little something about the perspective that I'm going to be teaching from, because I think that'd be good for you to know and for our other viewers to know. And that's that in my experience, there are really only 2 reasons that a horse doesn't do the thing that we want them to do. And the first is the most common, and that's that the horse doesn't actually understand what they're supposed to do. So of course they are not able to do that for us. And the other reason is that a horse might understand what it is we're asking them to do, and for some reason they don't want to do it. So they're trying to tell us that they can't or they won't do it for whatever reason. So the way I like to approach this is, first, we're going to make sure that he understands what it is you want him to do, because if the problem is understanding, that will fix it. If the problem is something else, then that will show up, and then we will be able to help explain to him what you want, and then also help him feel better about it if there's something from his history or something that's happening right now that's making him uncomfortable about doing it as perfectly as he could be doing it for you. And I believe that most of our horses, they want to be good and perfect and obedient and great partners for us, if they can. So we're going to just try and figure out what's making it hard for him to do that and try to make it easier for him to do it. So I also want to give you a little bit of an end picture in mind, because I also have learned in my many years of teaching horses and working with different horses and riders that horses, they may or may not actually be telepathic, but they do seem to be able to pick up what's in our mind. And you've probably already experienced that in being around horses. They are so incredibly sensitive and intuitive and connected that it's like they can hear our thoughts at times. So that is a kind of good and bad, right? Because it means that we have this amazing, very sophisticated, very subtle potential of communicating and connecting with them. But it also means that they hear all the other junk that we're thinking. And most of us have a lot of chatter in our minds. We have a lot of negative talk, or we're judgmental or critical of ourselves, or we're thinking about the last time he didn't do very well. So that's the mental picture that we've got that maybe he's picking up on. And so that's where the kind of self-development or self-discipline part of horsemanship comes in, is, can we be in control of what's happening in our mind so that we can actually communicate what we want to communicate to the horse at the level that they're able to listen to us, instead of sending all this other conflicting information that we're not even aware we're projecting at them. So I'm not going to dive too much into that today, but just so you know, he can probably hear what you're thinking. I mean, maybe he can even hear what I'm thinking a couple thousand miles away. I don't know. But I'm going to work off of the assumption that he can pick up on things that we don't even quite understand how they do it, which gives him, the best opportunity to be his best horsey self, which I believe all horses want to do. So the first thing I would like you to do is does he have like a favorite spot to be rubbed or scratched?
Oh yeah.
And you know where it is. Okay, so give him a good scratch right now in his favorite place. So everything that we're going to do is going to begin in this place of friendship and connection. because I think that's what horses want out of life and out of their people, horse partners, connections, their, you know, other beings in their life. They want to have like a nice, friendly relationship. They want to be understood. They want to be loved, just like us. As herd animals, they're hardwired to need social connection. So even horses who don't appear to be looking for connection, because they're horses, we know that they actually are looking for connection, and it's really important to them. So I think we actually don't spend enough time doing that. And I'd love for him to associate you and being close to you with that really awesome, secure, wonderful feeling of, you know, being scratched where he loves it, being understood, being with his buddy, his partner, who is going to, you know, support him in being able to deal with all these crazy things that humans ask horses to do, like stand next to a mounting block and let a monkey climb on his back, right?
That'd be me.
So now what I want you to do is take him for a little walk and then park him next to the mounting block. And even if he doesn't park perfectly, just kind of get him there and then give him a scratch in his favorite place once you get there. So like make a circle, kind of take him for a walk and end up back here.
Come on, brother. Come on.
And again, don't be too picky about where exactly he stops. If you guys are kind of in the vicinity, that's awesome.
Okay. Whoa. Whoa.
Love it.
Attaboy.
And now take some
Good job.
time and really connect and scratch on him.
Mm-hmm.
And the feeling kind of that I'm going for here is that like you love him and you're going to scratch him and be there for him no matter what, even if he's not perfect. And that will remove, you know, the kind of right or wrong element or the, you know, him making a mistake that would cause him to not be as appreciated or as connected as he needs to be.
Oh, good. All right.
And one of my favorite instructors said something once about these moments where we're spending time connecting with the horse to help us do it in a way that the horses appreciate. She said, pretend that you're blind and you're trying to memorize your horse with your hands when you're doing these rubbing, scratching, connecting moments. And that tends to kind of slow us down, and then we connect through our hands in a little bit different way than we would if we were just scratching as a reward so we can get to the next training moment. Horses seem to really appreciate when we slow down and are present in the moment. And that's something that is very challenging for most humans to do. We all kind of want to and think we're trying to do that, but to actually do that and to actually be congruent on the inside and in our mental chatter, plus on the outside with our body language and our actions is pretty challenging.
I could do this all
and when
day.
you're ready, right? Awesome. So could he, I think, but we won't have to. When you're ready, take him again for that little loop, little walk, and come back to the mounting block again.
Come on.
And this time, I want you to actually go and step up onto the block. You don't have to get to the top step, but I want you to stand on the block and see if he'll come stand beside you. Again, his position doesn't really matter if it's accurate or not. Just hang there and scratch him. And after a good solid, 30 to 90 seconds of scratching, if he's not quite in the perfect position for you to easily get on, step down, adjust him just one step forward or closer to the block, just one, and then get back up and scratch him again.
One step. That's it. Whoa, whoa.
Beautiful.
Nice.
And then get right back up there, because we want him to think that the whole point here is so that you can get in the best position to give him the best scratches. because that's more important to a horse than being obedient or being correct or solving a problem or, you know, doing an exercise. Because if we can explain to him through these kind of exercises that the goal of him standing perfectly positioned next to the mounting block is to give his buddy Ant the best access to the best scratching spots so you guys can have your best moment together, then he will actually go out of his way to put himself in that exact perfect position for you if he wants to.
I got you. Mm-hmm. All right then.
And it's tempting because he's in a great spot right now to just get on, but I don't want you to do that because we're trying to convince him that this is not the typical mounting exercise. This is really about you and him and what you share and how you connect. So at some point here, just casually walk off of the block, casually take another small lap with him and end up here again.
All right, go brother. Come on, come with me. All right, come on.
And just march right up onto the block when you get there. Don't even look at him. Get in your spot and then wait for him to get in his spot. And yeah, if he needs a little help to not bump you, fine, but just see what he does.
Step up.
Yeah, and if you can reach him on the withers, just scratch him there. Don't lean over him to get his good spot though, because he's gonna have to move for you to reach his good spot. So after a bit here, you could take that step down if you needed to and say, hey bud, if you took this step forward and sideways, I could reach you so much better. Let me show you what I'm thinking.
One step. Whoa, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, attaboy.
Beautiful. And what I try to put into my mental chatter or my mental picture when I'm doing something like this would not be the typical good boy or good job as if the horse, you know, was successfully being obedient, but it's more along the lines of, yes, that's what I was thinking, or thank you for sharing my idea and joining me in my idea. And that removes the human as the taskmaster and the horse as the obedient follower roles, or at least it kind of blurs those lines a little bit, which allows the horse to take more responsibility for doing his part to make your life easier, because that's a lot of what drives how I like to train horses is I need them to help me out. You know, as a horse trainer, if I've got a string of 5 or 6 or 8 horses to ride in a day, I need them to be, you know, lining themselves up for me and helping me tack them up and helping me get on and off easily and being very efficient with my time so that I can reserve my energy for actually the riding and training or teaching that I'm supposed to do. And then it also just shows us what they understand is their job. I think we don't give horses enough responsibility. I think they are far more capable of taking on responsibility and utilizing their own intelligence to figure out how they can be the partner that we want them to be. But they can only do that if we give them the opportunity, which usually because we're in a hurry or we don't think of horses as being that intelligent maybe, or I don't know, we don't always give them enough of an opportunity to be as amazing as I think they are and want to be in and will be when we give them that chance. So now, Ant, I'm going to leave it up to you. This is a perfect mounting position. If you want, you can get on him. Or if you'd prefer to get off and kind of confirm this exercise with him, you could also go for another small walk and then come back here. Either one would be fine. But before you get on him, if that's what you're going to do, I want to tell you what to do once you get on him. Because if he gets a little squirrely, I don't want you to fix it. I want you to walk that lap and end up back at the mounting block again from his back.
Okay. All right, brother. coming up.
If you on him or not, we're going to do the same exercise. I mean, unless he moves and it doesn't feel safe to you. But if he moves, go with him. Stays, go with him. Don't tell him what to do. Because I want to see what he chooses to do so that I can help you help him. And I can't see what you're doing with your hands, but if you could be scratching him right now and feeling that same internal state of thanks for joining me in my idea. Thanks for being my partner, mystery. Thanks for tuning into my telepathic mental picture. Thanks for taking responsibility for your part of the partnership. That kind of, horses really seem to appreciate those kinds of thoughts. If he walks off, let him go and just go with him. And ride him in a little circle, the same circle you rode before or you walked in before, and come back to the mounting block, and we're going to stop in the mounting spot again. So rather than trying to prevent him from moving, we're just going to show him where you would have rather he stayed if he was taking the responsibility of doing it. And when you get near the block, start asking him to stop about 10 steps early.
Well, we sort of blew through that stop sign. We'll try it again.
Doesn't matter. Because, yeah, I don't want you to make him do it. I'm sure that you could. But I want to see how committed is he to what he is doing or what he thinks. So anything that I tell you to do, Ant, I want you to take the grain of safety salt, okay? So you do what you need to do to feel safe. And if you feel safe, follow my instructions.
Whoa, whoa. That was close.
Pretty good. We'll take it. Now make sure you're not holding him there with short reins, because that could tell us that, you know, what you're thinking, but it doesn't tell us what he's thinking.
Okay.
And I'd give him a reward now with that scratch and just being with him. Even though he's walking now, that's fine. But make that loop again, bring him back to that spot again. So horses who need to move off like that, they do it because they need to move. And that's why arguing with them about it doesn't usually improve it. So when you walk a lap like this, you allow him to do what he needs to do, which was move a little. And then
if I could get him to relieve himself at the mounting block, I'd be all set.
Yes.
If he likes to stop when he poops.
Unreliable. I don't want to rely on that. I'd much rather rely on the other end of the horse understanding the job. So really early, start asking him to stop.
Whoa.
So he might even stop before you get there. I'll take it. Beautiful.
Whoa, whoa.
And he doesn't have to be lined up. And now release the reins so he can tell us what he thinks about being there, and give him some rubs and just be there with him, just like you were before when you were standing on the mounting block. Super. We want to make standing still with loose reins at the mounting block a really sweet spot for him.
Okay.
And it looks like we're getting closer every time you loop around. So while you're standing there, as long as he stands still, I've got a question for you. And that is, can you tell me what it is that you do to ask him to stop when you're in motion?
It depends a little what's going on. If, for instance, there's not too much happening, I can simply lean back a little and push forward with my feet and tell him whoa, and he'll stop from a running walk. If he's a little excited, then it takes a little more, rein work to kind of remind him that, yeah, we're stopping. So it does depend a little on how busy things are so far.
Okay, so
but for instance, I can show you if you want.
I don't want to see it. I just want you to talk me through the steps. Let's say he was busy and fast, and so the simple seat aid isn't going to work. What are the steps that you go through to get him to stop?
I would do that first. So my idea, which is not very sophisticated maybe, but the idea is that he would get used to the idea that that's the thing he should be responding to. But then if I have to, I'll give him light correction. And then again, if I really need to stop for some reason, if it's a safety thing, then I would have to make that correction more quickly. I try not to ever just be pulling back, but do a correction and let it go until it finally, gets what I want from the situation.
Okay. I'd like you to be even more specific because I have no idea what you mean by correction, because that means different things to different people. So tell me about that.
Yeah, well, I'll do it on a loose rein, so I'm not yanking on him, but I generally try to ride with fairly light reins. And if I need to, maybe it's not a correction, but simply a direction, but I would do this with just my fingers to, give him a tug and tell him that this means that I really do want to stop, so that hopefully the next time I won't have to use the reins at all. When he is responsive and there's not, too much else going on out here, or when I lean back and do this and just say, whoa, he'll just come to a dead stop with loose reins. So, he can do it. And if I have his attention, that's all it takes. So.
Okay. And if that initial correction doesn't work, how do you make it more effective?
I'm going to do it again until it does work. And, but I really try to, and generally with him, I don't have to do this with any kind of severity. I mean, I just don't. I don't yank on his mouth or anything like that, but I will keep telling him, with these kind of motions that, yes, we really do want to stop. And I always accompany that with a whoa, so that we've got a verbal idea in there too. And generally that will work. It doesn't, he's very responsive, both to go up and to stop. He's got real lively sides, and he's just a smart horse, so that if I have his attention, I figure it's mostly on me to communicate. So yeah, usually it doesn't take, if that first, reinless whoa doesn't work, usually that next tug does the job. I don't think I've ever had to go past that.
Great.
And he's never been any kind.
I can't quite see what kind of bit you have from here. Can you tell me what kind of bit is on his bridle?
Yeah, it's a simple snaffle. Nothing very severe at all. It's a pretty mild setup. Seems to work very well on him, though.
A loose ring snaffle, does it have one joint in the middle or two joints?
On the bit itself?
Yeah.
On the bit, it has one joint.
Bit, so the piece that's in his mouth, one joint, okay. So you may or may not know this already, but I'm just going to share something with you about snaffle bits. They are meant to be used one rein at a time. So whatever you're doing with the reins to use to give him information or a correction should always be with one or the other rein, never both. Did you know that?
Okay. No, I didn't.
Because of that single joint in the middle, if you pull on both reins, or if you're just holding them and he pulls against you, it doesn't really matter who puts the pressure on, the bit folds in the middle, and two things happen. It goes from being straight across his mouth to being like an A-frame shape, right? So the joint piece can poke him in the top of the mouth, which doesn't feel good.
Okay.
And then the two sides where the rings are, that the reins are attached, as that scissor action happens, they press down on the bars of the mouth where there's no teeth, the gum-covered bars in between the incisors and before the molars start. And that puts pressure down on his lower jawbone, where there's really thin skin and a sharp edge of bone, and that can also cause pain.
Okay, I think I have misunderstood the question a little bit. The center of the bit is not a simple joint. I think there is a separate piece in there. I misunderstood what you were asking. So it's not a roller or anything like that, but there is a I guess you would call it a 3-piece bit, that there's a short piece in the middle that hinges on both sides.
Okay, so that we call a double jointed snaffle, 2 joints instead of 1.
Okay.
And that makes it a little bit less likely that that would happen, that it won't poke him in the roof of the mouth, but it still folds in half when there's pressure put on both reins. And that's why all snaffle bits are meant to be used 1 rein at a time when you're correcting or steering or using pressure on the rein. And I'm just telling you this in case you don't know, so that you can use your tool to your best advantage to communicate with him. So the other best way to pick up one side or the other of a snaffle bit like that is to pick it in an upward motion, so that when the pressure gets to his mouth from your hand, it goes into the stretchy corner of his mouth and doesn't press down against his jaw or his teeth.
Okay.
And that way, I mean, their mouth is even stretchier and, you know, with more lip and skin and stuff than ours. There's quite a bit of stretch before you would encounter something that's very discomfort causing to him. So you have a lot more leeway before you're, you know, feeling like you're putting too much pressure on. So the rein needs to go a little bit upward, never downward, and upward instead of backward if you need to use it. That alone can help whatever you're doing with the reins work better for him, because you're then being sure that you're not accidentally causing some pressure or pain in his mouth that's going to distract him from listening to what you're asking him to do.
Okay, so if I'm going straight ahead and he hasn't responded to my reinless aids, then you're telling me I should use 1 rein at a time? Isn't that going to cause him to turn that way?
It could cause him to turn. But yes, I'd suggest you pick up 1 rein a little shorter, since you said you like to ride with longer, softer reins, and pick it up so he feels that. And if he turns a little bit, at that point, it doesn't really matter, because you're already not doing a perfect stop, right? Because he already didn't listen to your seat. So now you just need to communicate the bigger picture to him. And like you said, the idea is that he gets better and better at listening to your feel and your seat and your body balance, and you're not relying on the reins. So it doesn't really matter if he turns a little bit, because you've already lost your maneuver, whatever it is that you were doing, if you were trying to do something specific. And now we're just trying to communicate information to the horse. And then you can get back on track for whatever you were doing before that.
Okay, I'm just having a little trouble picturing how this would work if I'm going down a trail and there's no room left or right, but I want to stop and he's not responding to my seat, as you said. I can't have him turning left or right. We're just going to get in trouble doing that.
Well, so you certainly wouldn't want to try this for the first time on a narrow, steep trail. I agree.
Okay, point taken.
We want you to live through this, for sure. But as a teaching tool, it communicates what you want to communicate to your horse in the best way that I've found. And that's actually what an arena is for, is so that you can play with this stuff, so you can build the skills, so your horse can build the skills, and so that you guys can build really great communication in a safe environment, so that when you are out on a trail, you're not having to, you know, do big crazy things to try to communicate. Hopefully you guys already have established them and practiced them. That's the ideal scenario, right?
Okay, yep,
so
that makes sense.
In this arena, you don't need to worry about him going off the trail. So let's do the walking exercise and come and halt at the mounting block again. And you don't have to go to the same direction or the same size circle. You can go anywhere you want, but don't go for too long before you come back and stop at the mounting block again. And when you come back around, just with these things I've shared with you, keep them in mind about how the bit works and what he might feel, so that if you do need to use your rein to help him understand we're stopping at the block, you now have even more tools about how to use that in a more effective way.
Okay.
And again, plan your stop at least 10 steps early, so that you can ask him and kind of release him before you even get there.
Whoa. Attaboy. Step up now. Whoa. Nice. That's good. Yeah.
And then make sure you release the reins so you know he's standing there and you're not holding him there. That tells us where his mind is at in case we weren't quite sure. And now give him his reward of scratching and rubbing and loving on him. And I want to share one more thing with you that you might choose to use to change how you ask him to stop next time. And this is just something that comes out of geometry and physics. If you lean back, it makes your feet kick forward, right? And the way it tips your weight and your center of gravity, it actually pushes him forward. Can you feel that? When you lean back, it pushes your seat down and forward. So that can actually make it harder for him to stop. Just that little weight shift. So if you can find a way to use your body to give him the stopping signal without leaning back, that'll make it physically easier for him to do that with you. And if you choose to do that, it's going to be a new cue. So it's going to take a little bit of repetition for you guys to find it and find it together. But ultimately it will help him not like squeeze forward out from underneath you when you're needing him to slow down. So
actually, that makes a lot of sense to me because with a lot of these walking horses, their cue to go up into a faster gait is in fact to lean back.
Yep.
So that might help unsnarl some of that if I use maybe just push my feet forward, but keep my own weight forward. Give him, like you say, a different cue to work off of for stopping that doesn't confuse him as to whether we're going or not.
Would you like a suggestion of what cue to use, what to do with your body that I have found works very well?
Absolutely.
I would say don't kick your feet forward because no matter what, that's going to force your weight back a little bit. It's going to be real hard for you not to tip back if you do that. And he can feel everything you do. He can feel you breathing, so you don't have to do something big for him to feel you. So I would suggest you stay kind of straight and balanced in your nice rider position so that you don't get out of position. And you can do two things with your body that he'll feel really clearly. So the first is that if he's moving, and usually they're moving before we ask them to slow down, right? Make sure that you're moving with him in as best of a harmonious movement as you can do. Because the more in harmony you are with him before you ask him to change, the easier it'll be for him to feel you ask him to change. Make sense?
Yes, it does.
So the first thing is get in harmony with him so that when you sit up a little bit straighter and stop your own body a little bit from following the movement, he'll feel that really clearly, like, whoa, Ant is no longer flowing with my walk. He is now sitting up straight and his body is still. That alone can catch the horse's attention and be like, where did the harmony go? Because they like harmony just as much as we do. And if he's looking to be in harmony with you, he'll find it by stopping with you. But he might not be listening at quite that subtle of a level right off the bat. So I'm going to give you another way to exaggerate that feeling for him to make it more clear and easier for him to pick it up. And it's using your seat muscles. So the muscles that you're sitting on, your big gluteus muscles, hopefully are very relaxed when you're just cruising around riding your horse. And if you were to activate them, doing this really fancy technique of imagining you're gripping a credit card between your butt cheeks, if you activate those muscles to do that, it effectively kind of grabs the saddle with your seat so that as you stop your body, the saddle will also stop with you. And that is a huge feeling for the horse to pick up on. So you would start with just stopping following the movement that you were formerly harmonizing with. And if he doesn't respond to that, then you add your seat muscles grabbing the saddle. And if he doesn't respond to that, then you could pick up a rein and make it really obvious Like, hey, mystery, when I stop following the motion, when my seat stops following the motion, and when I pick up this rein, it means motion should stop.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Sound doable?
Yeah. No, I like that. Mm-hmm.
The trickiest part for most of us is to make sure we're relaxed and in harmony first before we try to apply this. Because if you're not in harmony, or you're a little stiff, or your seat muscles are a little clenched and you aren't aware of it, of course he won't feel you try to change it as well.
Sure. Okay.
Head out on another loop.
All right, let's do it, brother.
And come back and
let's go.
Stop and make a block again.
Whoa, whoa. Whoa. Attaboy. Okay, let's go. Whoa, whoa. Okay, let's go around. Come back. Let's go back. That's it. Nice.
So I find it takes probably 10 steps of walking with your horse to get in harmony, and then another like 5 steps to actually still your body.
Whoa. Whoa. One rein. Remember, one rein only. Come on. Let's go. You gotta remember that this time, no, brother. One rein only.
Yep. You could even slow that whole process down. Like take a good long 10 or 20 steps to get in harmony. When you think you're in harmony, maybe even count yourself down from 5 before you sort of stop your harmony. So like 5, 4,
Whoa.
3,
Whoa.
2, 1, and then add the seat. Whoa. And then add the rein.
Okay. All right, brother.
So if it's too quick, it's just he can't see it. But I like that you're repeating it over and over, because what we need is for him to recognize that this is a pattern.
Whoa. Whoa. Oh boy. Nice job.
And you might stand a little bit longer to make sure he understands that a halt is a halt is a halt. A halt is not just a pause. Lovely.
Oh, he's a good horse. Okay, let's try that again, brother. Come on. Oh boy. Yeah, Suzanne and I are working on making Mystery my horse.
I heard something about that.
Uh-huh.
That's very exciting.
It is. All right. Whoa. 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 Look at you. Huh? Look at you.
And try loosening the rein after you halt, to double check that he understands a halt is a halt and it doesn't mean a pause and then speed off again. And that's just like a diagnostic, right? If he's not with you in mind and you give him long reins, he'll just take off again, which is safe in an arena and gives you a ton of information about where he's at. And that's really important, because if we don't know where he's at, we can't train him or help him get to a different place.
Uh-huh. That's very helpful. Yeah, he's terrifically calm right now. He's yeah, let's go. Come on. There you go.
So at some point here, while we still have time, what I think would be good is if you were to dismount somewhere and then walk back over to the block and get back on, so we can see if he has learned and retained this, or if he does his old usual behavior.
All right, let's try it. Getting down, little brother. Here we go. All right, come with me. Come on.
And let's give him the benefit of the doubt. So just march up onto the block. Don't tell him what to do, except you can say something so he doesn't knock you down, right? Let's just see what he does.
Right there. Come on, over here. I'll get on this side if you want. Come on. Step up. It's confusing, huh? We're facing the wrong way.
Yeah. Well, if he doesn't know what to do, you can absolutely tell him. Like, but that's so great that he was just like, I'm just going to stay right with you. That's very cool.
Okay, go around this way. Come with me. Oh boy.
You can help
Come
him
on.
out a little.
Right here.
And remember, the goal is to get up there so you can scratch him. Let's just see what he does. Because this
Wrong
is
side of the block
us
there, buddy.
where his mind is at, so it's useful, right?
Over here. Come on, step up. Step up. Atta boy.
Really good. Now scratch that favorite spot because it's easily within reach. And again, your job is to convince him that this isn't just about getting on you. This is so I can get your best spot so we can do this together. So we can help each other out. Looks fantastic.
Atta boy.
You could get on, see if he stands there or if he walks off.
Quite there. Come here. Step up. Whoa, whoa, right there. Atta boy.
Beautiful.
Good job. Nice job. All right.
So if he
coming up,
leaves a little bit, you can, don't worry about it. Yeah. As long as he's still there.
Yeah,
Don't
put
tell
that
him
in there
what to
for
do.
me, will you?
Let's see what he understands. Yeah. Did he do your foot?
Yeah. Trying to teach him to help me get that stirrup in there.
Yeah, yeah. The less you have to do, the better. So let's just hang out. Let's see what he does because he'll tell us what he understands is his job after you've gotten on. Oh, yeah, good. Check the other foot. Make sure your rider's in your stirrups. Excellent.
He's a smart horse.
Give him some scratches. Make sure your mental kind of projection or picture is exactly what's happening right now, which is that your horse is being perfect. Exactly like he would. And also notice his posture as he's standing there. His neck is pretty low and level. Earlier, or when he was thinking about moving, his neck would come up. And that's the signal for you that he was thinking about moving. Or that he was thinking he wasn't comfortable enough to stand still. And he was having this little kind of internal argument about like, I know I'm supposed to stand here, but I feel like I have to go. And so now I'm, holding it in, which is why as soon as you get on, he takes off because he can't contain it.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. So this is, that was great, right? If you did that every time you went to get on him, would you be happy?
I would, and I'm prepared to take the time. I'm rarely in a hurry to go anywhere, so there's really no excuse for me to, hurry him in any way. If this is what it takes for him to associate me getting on with just good times, then that's clearly what I should be doing. So, yeah.
Well, and let me share a couple things with you now. So the ideal thing to do right now, because you and he are now in a place of like mutual understanding, and this feels good to everybody, and you've certainly made progress in the direction you want to go, right? So the best thing, what I would do right now is I'd get off him right there. I'd take off his saddle, take off his bridle, and just let him loose in the arena to hang out. I don't know if that's okay to do there, but that would be the best thing to do to really reinforce this lesson for your horse.
Okay, no problem. Let's step up, Misty. Okay, whoa, right there. Getting down, okay, getting down. There you go. All right, let's take off some of this stuff, huh? All right, look at you. Doing great.
Just getting off and untacking him in a place where he can roll in a nice sandy area is one of the best rewards you can give a horse. And it also takes us out of our routine a little bit, because usually we go to a certain place to untack him or something.
Come with me. Come on. Come on.
He's like, but I love standing next to the mounting block now.
Oh, sorry. Lost my audio there. Can you hear me?
I can still hear you.
Okay.
So I want to just respond to something you said before you hopped off, that you feel like you could take the time to do this more often. And you shouldn't really have to. Like, when you take enough time to do things, you shouldn't have to take this much time to do it over and over and over. So by continually asking the horse to show us what he understands, by giving him the long reins and by letting him move if he needs to so he can tell us where he's at, we actually achieve a deeper level of understanding when we achieve the understanding in a session with the horse.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I would expect, is that maybe once in a while, a little reminder that.
Well, yeah, maybe once in a while a reminder. You could do this exact session, but it probably wouldn't take as long, maybe 2 or 3 more times when you don't have another agenda to, you know, go out on a trail ride or something, when you just have time to be with him. And after that, I would say you would have a really solid understanding on his part of what his job is regarding mounting, dismounting, and the mounting block. And then
Got that?
if he really understands that, and he's really doing it out of just a desire to be with you and to be a good partner, and he understands the job, you will rarely have to remind him, because he's not going to forget that he likes you. He's not going to forget how to put you in a position to scratch his best spot. He's not going to forget that you didn't, you know, get after him if you didn't get it quite right. Like, this really nice feeling of doing this together, it doesn't really go away when you make sure that you get it in your session. I think sometimes we don't spend enough time making sure our horse understands the lesson or the concept that we're trying to share with them. And that's why we then have to remind them over and over. He's just watching you, like, what are we doing now?
What are we doing? Huh? Yeah? Okay. That's just a good horse. What a good horse you are. Let's work on being a better rider, huh? Yeah.
And then, yeah, spending some time scratching him is also the perfect way to end this session. Love it.
Come with me now. Come on. Come on. Enough with that block. All right? Come on.
Yeah, so we made the block a bit of a sweet spot, but ultimately we want you to really be the sweet spot. Wherever you are, that's where he wants to go or wants to be.
Come on. Come on. You can do it. Attaboy. No, let's go out. We can get water out here. Come on, let's go. Come with me. That's it. Come on. That's it. Good job.
And when you kind of when you have a moment there, Ant, and your horse, you're not focused on your horse, I would love to hear kind of just like a summary of what you learned, or the highlight or your takeaways from that session.
Nice. I think it was a really good, well, it's a very practical thing, obviously, to be able to get on wherever, no matter what's going on. But I think it was a real good concrete example of a lot of things that we've talked about here at Dunrovin, and that, you know, people emphasize in beginning horsemanship, which is where I am, which is to, you know, be consistent and, you know, take the time to understand what the difficulties might be for the horse in what you're asking, because like you were saying, it's not like they start off, most horses anyway, thinking to be difficult or just contrary. It's more like a failure on my part to be inviting enough to join in the thing that I had in mind, and taking into account what might be, an issue for the horse. And in this case, Mystery is a very willing horse. It's just that, we've gotten a few, I almost said bad habits, but I think it could be that I'm the one that had the bad habits, not him. So I think this has been very helpful to just slow it down and take it a step at a time, and make it something that he looks forward to. He wouldn't even leave the block at the end, which was interesting. It became, like you say, kind of a pleasurable spot for him to hang out, even if I wasn't there. So, I think that's a few more sessions like this now that I have more of a plan. Suzanne has always recommended that we break things down into small steps and, small victories. And I've been doing that, but I think making it a love session out there, for this particular horse, at least, I think Mystery responds really well to that. And it's not like I'm just doing it because I think I'm supposed to. I do love this horse. So, we'll be able to follow this idea consistently, I think. And once he gets the idea that, he's not a problem. Like once we get going, once we burn off some of that pranciness, he's just a very responsive, very, just a really good horse in the arena or out in the trail. And I think it's just kind of a thing that we gotten into with not standing patiently to get started. So if we get over that hump, then we can get right back to the thing that we both really like doing. So I thank you for that.
You're welcome. Yeah, I really like to think of our interactions with horses as a conversation where we're in a position where we can ask them kind of what they think and what they need, and then we can decide what to do based on that. And that's something that I think we forget to do in a lot of training situations where we're trying to be consistent or we're trying to do things right or correct something. And we don't spend enough time finding out what the horse actually understands or doesn't understand. So we may not be practicing the right thing without asking that. So really taking the time to see what he's going to do or give him those loose reins to get that feedback from him about where he's at. That's what I use as the guide for what kind of training thing we might do next, or are we going to do the same thing again, or does he get it so we can move on, that kind of stuff. And one other thing that you said I wanted to respond to, that you felt like in this situation for this horse, making it like a love session out there is a good idea. And I would take that further and say, I can't think of a training situation where that wouldn't be a good idea. I mean, there's no reason that even really high level training or really precise kinds of things that we're doing with our horses can't have that same feeling and flavor of, it's you and me together and, we're going to figure this out and support each other. And I mean, really anybody who's doing anything with a horse is doing it because they love horses just like you do. Like most of us are not doing this for the money or for the glory or for the fame, like we're doing this because we love horses. And sometimes that gets lost in our desire to learn or to progress, or we start training or taking lessons and then trying to, solve problems, and we forget to carry that joy and that love of horses into everything that we're doing. So I would encourage you to do that.
All right. All right. Well, thank you for that. And thanks for your time. I'm going to let Mystery go back to some hay now.
All right. He'll love it.
You ready, buddy?
You did great.
All right. All right. Thank you again. All right, brother. We're out.